Hey everybody, I'm David with Bolivar Live, and we're heading down to the beach here on Bolivar Peninsula this Thursday. One thing I was watching, had made several trips down to the beach shooting some clips and I was talking to Chandra about it a couple weeks ago. Is we were talking about the different pilings, and I noticed, used to be you had the old telephone poles. And then when we were rebuilding for Mike, we saw homes coming back with the square pilings. And then we started to see some round pilings. Some builders were using round pilings. And then pretty soon we saw even some precast and some concrete pilings being poured and slabs. And so I had a chance to talk to her about that. And it was interesting talking about friction and water disbursement and stuff on all these. And so let's go talk to her real quick about pilings and which is really the best piling if you have a beach house down here. Chandra, I got a big question. I was driving through shooting some video. And I noticed, I was looking at some of the houses, and I can remember whenever we were really strong rebuilding from Ike, you saw square pilings, or actually old pilings were old telephone poles, and we all know they rot from the inside out. But as we were rebuilding from Ike, you saw square pilings, and then you saw some round pilings coming in, and then you saw some cement pilings. Some were square and some were round. Let's talk a little bit about pilings. And the square ones may be cheaper, but the round ones may be stronger, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. So think about how the tree grows. The tree grows in rings, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when we have a tree that's this round and we start cutting a square pile out of it, we're actually making that whole section smaller.
Right.
So it's always better to a round pile. One, it stays within the growth ring, so you have all your strength properties. Two, when you start talking about wind and water hitting against those piles, well, on a flat pile, it's hitting 12 inches of wall, basically the face of that pile. On a round, it's going to just kind of curve around it.
Right.
So it has less, impact on that pile.
It's sort of like your leg in the water. If you've got waders on, you can feel the waves hitting you and the water hitting you because it's bigger a lot more than if you're just out wading in the summertime.
Exactly. So you want that water to kind of and that wind to kind of dissipate around that round piling. So, I mean, ideally, the reason people like the square is because they set really nice. The framing squares up really nicely. It's easy to hang things on the lower level. But a lot of people, when they're doing the round piles, first of all, aesthetically, they look really nice still. But you can always square them out with Hardy or trim them out to make them look more square, more conventional, and use a smaller size section of a round pile that's equivalent to a square pile.
So, and real quick, you see a lot of telephone poles that are tapered. Are these round piles tapered, or are they, 11 to 12 inches all the way up?
They have both. They have both kinds. So we do specify two kinds. They have what they call tapered piles, and then usually over a 10-foot section, you'll have a 1-inch diameter drop. Okay. So for a 20-foot pile, you'll have 2 inches of change in that diameter. But so you may go from a 14 to a 12 or a 14 to a 10 over a pretty good period. But then you talk about they have what they call gun barrel piles, which is they lathe them to a continuous diameter.
Right.
And you can tell them You can tell them 11 and a half inches. You can tell them,
whatever you need.
Whatever you need, they will lathe it to that diameter. So it's really nice because you have a lot more control, but you also have to have a big enough tree to get that continuous diameter all the way.
Now, the perfect and I'm just giving you my opinion. To me, with what you just said, the perfect pile would be a round cement piling. Is that the
Now,
perfect piling?
yeah, we didn't really talk about the difference between concrete and cement, or concrete piles and wood
Uh-huh.
piles. But concrete piles do have a lot more strength properties than wood piles. The biggest challenge that we have with using concrete piles is on the beachfront because you don't have fibercrete.
Right.
And those piles, if you get a pre-stressed concrete column, it has to, I mean, those are expensive, because they
Mhm.
have to be completely made off site and driven. If you can do a hybrid where you could do maybe a tapered wood pile, a footing, and then a concrete formed above, that would be ideal
Oh,
because,
you can do that
yeah,
then.
you can absolutely
Okay.
do that in either an A zone or a V zone where you can use a slab. If it's a V zone where you have to only use fibercrete, then you can't because that pile
You
has to
can't
be
tie it in.
completely on its own. That's right. So yeah, concrete's fantastic. It's got great strength properties, but it is a lot more expensive. And then you have to look at the transition from that concrete pile to the stringer system.
Hmm.
If it's a precast concrete column where you're driving the whole thing, usually you have to have a steel saddle. Those are kind of custom.
Right.
If you're forming it in place with either tying it into a sub pile,
Uh-huh.
then you can form the top of it. So that's a little bit more cost effective. So
Yeah.
there's definitely options, and we see every single kind.
Yeah, and we were talking the other week about it. We saw it when you can pour concrete when you're not beachfront. We
Right.
during Ike, we saw, I can remember a yellow house, and I think it was in Emerald 2 or something,
Mhm.
where the slab was there and 4 or 5 foot of dirt was gone underneath it,
Yeah,
but the pilings were all tied together
that's
because
right.
they were able to pour a slab at the time.
Right, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to keep those piling instead of working individually, we're
Hmm.
wanting them to work as a system.
As
And
a
that's one of the
system.
problems that we get into on beachfront houses is that we have to look at those piles like they're working independently.
Right.
So if we can tie them into a piling system and lock them in at the ground with a
It makes it
slab,
a
even
whole
if we
lot
get
stronger.
undermined, that slab is going to lock those piles in and hold everything together. We can
Great.
always go back and backfill all that
Right.
stuff,
Right.
but
And that's what they
we want
did.
to hold everything together.
Great. Okay. Well, we're going to let you get back and we're going to go check out the beachfront and see what kind of pilings is the majority down here. Thanks for joining us
Okay,
today.
thanks.
Well, there you have it. Uh, all the pilings are great pilings, but some can actually help you if we do have elevated tides or if we have a storm down here. So you can see the beach is beautiful. We've got Memorial Day weekend coming up. We're looking forward to it. Hope to see y'all down here. Remember the Bolivar Live Truck. If we're on the beach and you see us, jump up and down, wave your arms, and ask us what's free today. Because we've always got, we're in fact for this weekend, we should have some t-shirts and hats and cups and all kinds of goodies. So remember, for more information on Aaron and Franklin, if you're going to build a house or if you're doing a remodel and you need some engineering, make sure you give them a look up online, fill out the form, and they can help you. It's aaronfranklin.com. So enjoy the view. Come on down and explore our 27 miles of beachfront. Until next time, I'm David with Bolivar Live. From the upper Texas coast on Bolivar Peninsula, y'all have a great day, great week. Come see us. God bless, and bye-bye. Video equipment is sponsored by Crystal Beach Decor and More, located at 1959 Highway 87 in Crystal Beach, Texas, and Beachy Beatnik Boutique and Jewelry, located at 970 Surfside and Highway 87 in Crystal Beach, Texas. Thank you to these two businesses for being our 2025 video equipment sponsor for Bolivar Live.